Good evening and welcome to this edition of the Island Stats Football Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me are co-hosts Maceo Dill and Garrett Punchy Dill. Gentlemen, good evening. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to run down the matches in which we will talk about this evening. And that included the CONCACAF Under-17 men's tournament, which saw Honduras defeat Bermuda 6-0. And then in Premier Division play, it was St. George's Colts 1, Devonshire Cougars 2, Robin Hood 1, Boulevard Blazers 5, North Village Rams 1, Dandy Town Hornets 1, Crossroads 0, PHC Zebras 7, Hamilton Parish 0, Somerset Trojans 1. In First Division was Southampton Rangers 0, Devonshire Colts 6, Young Man Social Club 3, Wolves 3, St. David's 3, Somerset Eagles 1. Well, that's the rundown. Yesterday or last evening, Bermuda's Under-17 men's got themselves involved in the Under-17 CONCACAF World Cup qualifiers. Unfortunately, it did not go to plan as they bowed out 6-0 to Honduras. Maceo, did you see the game?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. What were your initial thoughts on the overall performance of the Bermuda team?
I think it was embarrassing. I actually think, and I like to, I mean, in leading with the embarrassing performance and the lack of organization that I saw in setting up the team and carrying out any type of game playing against Honduras, I like to lead with instead of having a thought of that team and the coaching, because I think it's unfair for me to give that type of analysis and that type of criticism. I like to attack it in this way from a preparation standpoint. So from a preparation standpoint, we had the ability to win 2 games to get to an Under-17 World Cup. We had a great chance. That's a great chance, something that we've never done, something. So when I look at preparation and I look at that squad, so a majority of that squad is overseas. So the decision was made to bring the squad back to Bermuda for training and also send them to Florida for training. I like to just put out what battle preparation potentially could look like for that team. So just imagine if they did a training camp, a 2-week training camp with that squad in the UK. And then you bring people like Sean Godey in and his professionalism and the access he got. You got Corey Hill over there, that's one of your scouts. You got Marvin Balbuda, that's got a UEFA license. You got Peter Ricard. You got Dennis Zhu and those light of people there. And you put on a training camp, an intense training camp for those kids, whereas the coaching staff now has to look at their players under pressure situations and against good opposition. Against good opposition, they get to see who's emotionally ready, who's physically ready, who's mentally ready to prepare for this great opportunity that we have to go to a World Cup. And then you send them off to Guatemala. I think it would have been less expensive than bringing the squad here and putting them. And also, if you got them in the UK doing a training camp, potentially you've got scouts looking at these kids, individuals standpoint. So I like to address it rather than being critical of the team and the result, or even being critical of the coaching. I like to address it is that we need to understand to be per better. And even if I'm looking at our 2 national sports, we just sent the cricket team away, right? That got injured, and because of the facilities they're playing at, the field that they're playing in. I would like to send a message that Bermuda, our preparation and sending our children and sending our players to this international environment is not good enough right now. It's not good enough. And we are doing what I call setting our kids up to fail. Setting ourselves up to fail. And we just have to agree that we have to start to do better than what we're doing now. And there is opportunities to do better that could be less expensive for us, because I can imagine what it costs to bring them over here, fly them down to Miami, and then fly them down to Guatemala versus, you got 12 of them that's already in the UK and fly them over there and do a proper training camp in a good environment.
Punchy, your thoughts on the outcome?
It was heart wrenching. It was to see that, you know, and the despair of some, even the goalkeeper, you know, it's difficult. And just adding on what Maceo said, it's our preparation. There's so many people that can help us in terms of the under 17 is a very important project in terms of because these players eventually going to go into the senior team, hopefully. But it's just to project how do we prepare as for such an historical occasion. You know, my time that I played with the national program when I was under 17, I didn't play that much if I left the country go play in the United States. But the time that I did play, I remember beating Jamaica out to Devon Chirac. I mean, they were the top team in the Caribbean. We still beat them 3-0. But we were prepared better. And I think that even with these young men over in England playing, that what level are they playing at? And so, you know, I don't want to point my fingers at, like, you know, like adding to what Maceo said, but the coaching staff, it's our preparation now. It's got to be better, you know. And I felt sorry for them young men, you know, with the other depth. You got to prepare yourself better at the national level. And, you know, it's hard. And not only that, mentally, with the players, mentally, really, technically, and physically. What was the preparation? And that's and to what Maceo said about we could have seen this in, you know, in getting them prepared, being overseas, playing matches against against something that they could come up against when they went to Guatemala. So that's my take on that. You know, it's just
also,
happening too often. It's happening
but
too often in most of our the sports like cricket and football.
it, it exposes just everybody, and again, it also exposes the thing that we've been talking about. Are we even doing the right things domestically? So if I broke down the third goal where the captain got sent off. Now the captain got sent off. He had a ball. He was under no pressure, right? He was under no pressure, and the nearest player was like 5 to 10 yards away from him. He stalled with the ball. All of a sudden, this player pressed him. He didn't react, and once he got robbed of the ball, he now fouled the guy, got a yellow a red card. Now that goes to what I say about our domestic football, that we're playing on these huge fields, and these players have got 5 seconds, 10 seconds on the ball, and they form a habit. So our domestic setup is just not right to even support. So at least if you was talking about Michael Punch's era in playing football, because we played football in the backyard, we actually got some type of speed. You know, we played in tight spaces. You had the ability to think faster, your technique, your muscle triggers faster, and all that because you was playing football in the backyard and in small spaces. We're playing football with these kids in such big spaces. Like I watched a youth game the other day, the fullbacks didn't touch the ball for 5 minutes. So we're playing with big spaces with these numbers, and we're just not got a structure and a system in place that supports us competing at that level internationally. It's just not there, and I hope we realize that we need
Well, let me
a
let me ask
complete
you. Let me
turn.
ask you. Let me ask you. Is this the first time we've been at that level?
No, we've been at this level. We've been at this
No,
level
no, no. I'm
way.
talking about the level in which we're 2 wins away from making it to the World Cup because
Well,
we seem to have done well in those
Well, when
preliminary
you look
rounds.
at, we have to put that in perspective, right? Because
Hmm.
basically, we're being given another opportunity for a pass at opportunity. So just like when we talked about our cricket before, like just like we talked about when we qualified for the Gold Cup, look at the teams and the countries that we played last summer. We was
But
meant to beat.
if we didn't beat those teams, we'd be having
But
a totally
but
different conversation.
but we was again we was meant to beat those countries. So at least okay, well the countries that were meant to beat were beaten. But we're talking about wanting to go somewhere. We're talking about wanting to go to another level. So if we want to go to another level, we have to do something that is another level. And I know we don't like this conversation either. We don't like the conversation Is any of us as Bermudian coaches adequate? Is any of us adequate? Whether it be me, whether it be Andrew, whether it be Kenny, whether it be Morty, whether it be Dennis, whether it be whoever, Devar, are any of us adequate with international experience to actually take us to another level? That we don't have the conversation that, okay, we almost. Like, we had an almost conversation for 30 years. Well, that's just not good enough to have an almost conversation. And for me, what we saw there was actually embarrassing. You know, so we just have to ask ourselves some hard questions.
It's before we go on further, again, preparation. And when you talk about how we qualify, you got to look at who we play. I always say, I surround when we're in a competition, especially getting out of the Caribbean and Central America, and then who we're up against. You start circling. I start looking at it on the map and say, well, I think we're supposed to be the Caymans. We're supposed to be Barbados. We're supposed to should we be Jamaica? That's a one-off. And Trinidad and Tobago. So then I look at, well, who are we not going to win? So once we step up into that league where we're talking about teams like Honduras or Guatemala or Costa Rica, then we're talking about a whole different conversation here. And that's why I'm just adding on, talking about what you're saying about, because we qualify, but who do we qualify with? It's almost, I'm trying to, let me see if I can bring this full circle. Let's say Malta is playing against, let's say Malta is playing against maybe Norway, and it's 3-1. Norway is not satisfied that they beat Malta like that, but they know that when they get to the next level or the next round, then they got teams like Spain. And so it's almost the same what we're talking about there. The relation, what we're getting at here. Who are we capable of beating? Even if it sounds great that we beat Barbados, but when we step up and start ticking those boxes, now we're up against Costa Rica. We are now up against, and remember, even we lose to the Dominican Republic. So those questions, that's my take on this, sir. Preparation.
Good you said that, because in the other group match, Puerto Rico, who we could beat Costa Rica. So this is what I'm talking about. Puerto Rico's preparation in the other under-17 match, they beat Costa Rica. They took Costa Rica to penalties, and they beat Costa Rica when Costa Rica had what, 17 to 2 shots, but Puerto Rico had a mental preparation. They had a good tactical plan to keep in the game. They rode the lock at times with the goalkeeper, and then they end up winning in the penalties. They end up winning in penalties. So Puerto Rico, who I'm saying is that.
Did you see the game?
Yeah, I watched the game.
Oh, okay.
I watched all the other under-17 games to see where our counterparts are. So when I see where our counterparts, like for instance, I also watched the Panama game. The Panama played Cuba.
Right.
Our counterparts at under-17 who are competing against are ahead of us. So yeah, Barbados, Aruba, Cayman, they're way behind us, but we want to be in this bracket. So if we want to be in this type of bracket, we have to do something more and different than what we're doing right now. If we don't want to be in this bracket, well, let's stop saying we want to be in this bracket. But if we want to be in this bracket, we have to do something more. And I can pick this team apart. We could talk about the inexperience of the coaching staff. They had a coaching staff that's not really coached Premier League. If I go down the line, and they're not solidified their ability, and it's not saying that they're not good coaches. They're just not had exposure or experience. You had Sequoia there. Sequoia is still playing football. The head coach is still playing football. He has not coached the Premier League. He has not won a Premier League. Yes, he has a UEFA B license. Kudos to that. So he needs additional support and games to even study his team, to learn something about his team. Then you had the goalkeeper coaches, which is Trotty, the PhD. He doesn't have that type of pedigree and experience. And even we and you has had a conversation about the mental piece, the psychological piece. We saw the
Mm-hmm.
meltdowns. We saw
Yep.
the meltdowns of players. We saw it most significantly meltdown of the goalkeeper. So there is also a mental strength issue there, an emotional issue going on there. We just have to aid these kids a lot better than what we are to get the result. And I'm not saying that the kids are not good players or the bad players. That's not, I want to be clear, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying why not supporting them? Why not supporting them to get a better result than what they have?
Good point. Very
Well,
good
we're going
point.
to take our first commercial break. When we come back, we'll turn our attention to the title race in the Premier Division. We'll be right back.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this? John Barrett & Son is bringing us something fresh and exciting for the new year. Bai Antioxidant Infusion Beverage. Bai delivers the natural antioxidant benefits of the coffee fruit in glorious combination with a variety of exotic fruit flavors, with only 1 gram of sugar and 10 calories per bottle. The folks at Bai are inviting us on a world tour through these amazing flavors. Brazilian blueberry, Zambia Bing cherry, Costa Rica clementine, Malawi mango, Panama peach, Ipanema pomegranate, Kupang strawberry kiwi, and more. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. There's Punchy. Well, on Saturday down at the Wellington Oval, I guess a title contender, Devonshire Cougars came down after losing 2-1 to St. George's in the FA Cup quarterfinal on the Friday night before, up at the Devonshire Recreation Club, looking for a bit of revenge, and got it. 2-1 winners over St. George's Colts, coming from behind to do so. Punchy, this was an opportunity for St. George's to open up a gap, and it was also an opportunity for Cougars to overtake St. George's. A bit of experience played into a factor where Devonshire Cougars got the edge over St. George's 2-1.
Yeah, there was some controversy surrounding that late penalty call, of course. So people gonna have to take on that. But my thing is that with St. George's, I always speak with people. I know people that are affiliated with St. George's, and I speak to them. You look at the results of the home games against the top 4 teams. It's not very convincing.
Hasn't been good, yeah.
No, it's not. No, I've always spoken to the fact that how do they set themselves up playing on the home field? And I know they're going to beat Crossroads, yes, they will. I'm still concerned about the result, about the fact that when you come up against Cougars and PHC, and they drew with Hamilton Parish, they're going to have no affiliates at the last game. But they beat Denny Town convincingly down there. And Denny Town, of course, we know what the situation is. But I just think they're not really they haven't made the home field advantage like the fortress. Yeah, and I think the results speak for themselves. But just look at the results against the top teams, top 4 teams we talk about.
Yeah.
The Steel, when you saw them against Devon that night out when they beat Cougars,
Mm-hmm.
They were just definitive. What happened in the second group? The finishing was good. The work rate. I didn't see the game myself, but I just think that again, they have to kind of maximize the potential when they play at home and with the supporting cast. And it's a missed opportunity for sure.
Sure. I mean, Mesa, you look at a team like Devonshire Cougars. You haven't been too convinced with them all season, but for a day they were top of the table.
Yeah, well, you gotta give them the kudos. One thing I know about Cougars, they're not gonna cry about criticism, and they've been watching this show. They've been watching this show, and they've been telling me you're doubting me. And you know me, I like when somebody responds. I like when somebody proves wrong. So I like when people show character, and what they've done. Even though they've been struggling all season to get to that level, they're still in it, right? They're still in it, and they go down there and beat a big dog. They go down there, beat a big dog, and what happens to St. George's? There's some emotional meltdown because of the penalty, so the goalkeeper gets sent off after the game. So again, we're having these emotional meltdowns when stuff don't go their way. Cougars is not really had a lot go their way. They had to lose top players at crucial times. They had Lejean playing at right back to fill gaps. There've been patchwork in some areas to get to their best. The top striker is not available, but they get the result that puts them in the hunt. You gotta. That's character.
Yeah, I think having Taj back and able to play, back-to-back games, I think that helps him as well because, he hasn't played much all year, but with more games comes more confidence in him, and he makes the team that much better.
But now we're talking about the point I'm making. Now we're talking about coaching. I've been critical of the coaching at certain times, and his not all. He's not always had the tools available to him. And as he keeps getting another piece of the tool, he's starting to put himself in the race. He's not going to cry. He's not going to cry, and he's strategizing to keep himself in the race.
Sure. So
you got to respect that, right?
Yeah, definitely. And let's talk about the new league leaders. PHC traveled down to Lords yesterday. Oh, actually, no. We'll go to Saturday night's game, Boulevard and Robin Hood. Boulevard came away with a 5-1 victory. Boulevard pulling level at the time with Somerset for that other relegation spot. Moving on to 10 points. Punchy, looking at this game, I mean, Robin Hood's struggles continue with not being able to field a full team.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about in a couple of weeks ago. They show up with 13. They get a good result or a draw against maybe Crossroads, and then this game they only show up with 9 players or 10 players. It's his demise. It's what happened with Robin Hood. It's very sad, and it's not good for the league. It's not really good for the league, and I don't know what's going to happen. Will they fold next year? Will they completely fold? Which would happen with Vesco. What will happen with them?
Yeah, it'll be a lot of talks around that club. Yeah, it'll be a lot of talks around the club what they do. I mean, they have an abundance of players who probably just don't want to play in the league that they're currently in, but they have those players that are playing in Corona League. Who knows? They have a bunch of players at their disposal as to whether or not they want to play on a Saturday or a Friday night or a Saturday or a Sunday. So
and then we might get a text about the players, all the young players that are overseas. Yeah. So what's going to happen?
I'm not going to have that problem for a few years if they're away in school. That this ain't gonna change. next season because they're going to be back away in school.
Yeah.
So
well,
yeah.
we would have to look at. I think Robin would have to look at recruitment. Just recruitment. How can
they've done a lot of that over the years.
Well, they got to keep it up. That's you just got to keep getting people out there to kind of like sway players to come their way.
Yeah. But
how would they do it?
You know what? I think since they made the announcement of their merging with or getting the youth program up at Work Academy coming under them, they've struggled. This season, and then I guess hoping and waiting for that to materialize to see if they can get some of those, because they thrusted a lot of those under 17s into the team early, and I don't even know if any of those guys are still playing. But basically, looking at not just Robin Hood, but looking at Boulevard, that they had to win that game on Saturday night to give themselves any chance of staying up. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, Boulevard was always going to get that result. Yeah, my thoughts on that is more from a football perspective, that the authorities of football might have to make some hard decisions. They might to make some hard decisions, because even if you're saying Robin Hood or Boulevard recruit, I know that there's no players to recruit from. So what you end up, like I saw Colts and Rangers the other day, and I saw the players that are out there for Rangers that are literally backyard players that didn't really even grow up in a youth program. Some of the players didn't even grow up in a youth program playing football over their duration. They're now just filling in numbers. It looks like when I played Corona League, I played commercially. So there's no players to recruit from. So there's a conversation that I've heard about restructuring. That's where the solution is. The solution is not with Boulevard staying up, because if Boulevard stay up, I see that they're drafted back in Malcolm Huey, their coach last year, and potentially he has the triggers and the respect of the players to keep him up. But does that correct our problem for next year? No.
Yeah. Well, let's jump into the new league leaders in PHC going down St. David's yesterday and defeated Crossroads 7-0. Crossroads seem to be going in another direction. Maceo, what's up with Ralphie and his team?
Yeah, that was always going to happen, right? That when Crossroads didn't get the result, what happens is when they didn't get the result to stay in the FA and keep themselves motivated. They have this is the meltdown weekend. We have meltdowns, and they're coming up against a PHC that knows they're not letting it slip again. They're not slapping the slip, and they're sent an emphatic message. PHC sent a message, we're not letting it slip, we're going to happen. I think we talked about last week that PHC potentially hammer Crossroads, because Crossroads were missing, they had some walking wounded in their striker that was taped up. And again, that's just another example of not having enough quality to sustain a season campaign run. And a season campaign run just to really stay in the league, not to even be in yet. Right. They just don't have enough quality, enough players.
Sure. Punchy, looking at PHC, running on all cylinders.
Oh, for sure. I don't think they're gonna let up. The enthusiasm there. It's they're gonna be. We would say this a couple of weeks ago. when they had this little lapse. But you could still see that the work's being put in. They can be Triple Crown champions.
They're still in the FA, aren't they?
Yeah, in the FA. That's right, they're still in the FA. Which we don't know the draw being made yet. But anyway.
The draws on Thursday night. Night.
Yeah, so almost. Anyway, it's no let up for them. I think we're going back to what Maceo was saying about the character of Marco Warren's leadership. Again, homegrown players. PHC, I didn't think they could do the triple, but it's definitely I think there are contention for the league. But I think if you look at what's left in the FA Cup, it's definitely a possibility that they could do the triple. So yeah, I don't see no let up from there.
Yeah, well, I guess a lot of them be thanking Hamilton Parish for waking them back up, because they did fall asleep against Hamilton Parish, and now they look as if they got their firing boots back on. So the rest of the league be mad at them, but hey, they're doing what they're supposed to do. We're going to take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll look at the other matches in the Premier Division. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Here's one of our favorite feature brands, true veterans of the food awareness movement. Bob's Red Mill, the U.S. leading miller of organic whole grain foods. Only whole grains have the entire value developed during growth. And once you try them, you know that this is the way food was intended to be. Try Bob's Red Mill blanched almond, whole wheat pastry, and artisan bread flours, and 1-to-1 gluten-free baking flour, unsweetened shredded coconut, gluten-free homemade wonderful bread mix, and a variety of rolled oats. Lindo's. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, at Bernard Park yesterday, Dandytown Hornets was able to hold the North Village Rams to a 1-1 draw, stuttering their title hopes, but still in the mix. North Village still in the mix. Looking at Dandytown, I watched the first 45 minutes of the match. Totally different unit they looked yesterday. They have Treddy back in goal, and you could see the confidence flowing through the team. I often talked about, throughout the season, that a lot of the players haven't had a lot of confidence in their goalkeepers, and they played a lot different. But yesterday, in that first 45 minutes, they were free flowing with Treddy in goal. They still had, North Village created a lot of chances in the first half. Didn't score any of them. Treddy was remarkable, and when called upon, defenders were blocking balls. It was just one of those things that Dandytown looked a different unit yesterday, with what they would consider a creditable and recognized goalkeeper. But Punchy, talk a little bit about North Village in the match.
Yeah, I put down for North Village to win this game. Considering the state of Dandytown's the mentality. But quite surprising, it was, with Treddy in goal, with the Gibbons in goal, yeah, that made a lot of difference, a vast difference. Because, they're still very young at the back. There's a left, I think it's a left attacking fullback for Dandytown. Very impressive young man. Very impressive on the left side. But they're still young at the back. I thought, I'm going to say this, that call against in the 7th, I think 83rd minute against Trey Mean, and what happened there was I just thought it was a really bad call. I thought I was right there, and it was definitely I would have good VAR. It was a penalty.
Right.
and they would have a trade. But I think Norfolk still were, a lot of times they could have won that game. That game could have been like 4-3 either way.
Yes. Yeah.
Either way. But Treddy is definitely he was calm, because sometimes he could be somewhere else,
Yes.
but he was calm, and you could see his attitude. And I was quite surprised, with North Village again. I thought they really needed that point. They really need that 3 points yesterday. What would they do for their standings in terms of really winning the league this year? That was a bombshell against which was still impressive at the time anyway. But they needed all of which they needed those 3 points.
Right.
I still see them. I still say to you guys, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. I'm hoping that we come out, and I say we come out with a cup this year with some type of prize.
Well, you're only 3 points from the title, from the top of the table, and you're still in the FA. So there's still a lot to play for. But
you look at this. Look who we're going to go. Look where we're going to go and play. I think we're going to play Hamilton Parish down St. George's. We had to play St. George's at St. George's. And let me see who else we got. It's another team. We got Boulevard. Yes, at Bernard Park, which is not going to be easy. Trust me.
And you have, your next game is down St. George's.
Yes, it is down St. George's. Yes, it is. It's going to be that's not going to be, with Hamilton Parish. Yeah. So, again, like I said, with Norfolk is watching them, they were very, what's been good for them defensively. I don't find them as a quarter attacking team. I just find them defensively. And then I think the front three has pushed Trey Ming up further. So Trey Ming has a cover. The legs are not there anymore. And he gets up and around goal. I thought it was a smart decision by Kenny. But still, I would expect more yesterday. I expect that if you're not got Mr. Smith scoring goals, and he's regularly, which I think he should be. And then there's Jelly, who occasionally does great, and then he just fades after a while. So I don't know. I still question about today with North Village. Will they actually win something this year?
Yeah. Basically, when you would have heard about the result, what was your immediate thought on a team like Dandytown able to hold North Village?
I said it before. Every time this North Village unit and with Kenny have to win a game, they don't win it. Every time they have to win a game, the games that they should be in, they win. And it's a pattern. When I study people coaching or I study teams, I just study what that pattern looks like. And each time they have to win a game is a reason why they don't. Okay, I didn't win it. Now, good teams and good coaches win games that they have to win. They win games that they have to win to send messages, to send messages. And the message that's being sent is that Dutch not got it right. And then when I read the reports and what happens after the game, Kenny Detrey gets a yellow card. The dispute, Trey Mean, this is the second time in a row that it's got sent off. This is what I call meltdowns. When things don't go your way, you have a meltdown. You have an emotional meltdown. And you blame referees, you blame all these other things rather than your tactics, your selection, your all those things. And I always use the analogy when we blame referees is that Maradona punched the ball in the goal. He punched the ball in the goal. Referee in England, they still debate 1966 goal that whether went over the line or didn't. These are part of the games, but it's that mental strength, that emotional strength that makes you overcome these things. And one thing about my coaching, and I think over the time, the game don't lie. So referee decisions and all that stuff equal yourself out. If your team puts the game away, then you can notify whatever that referee potentially does or don't do. And I always used to, God bless his soul, Uncle Punchy would have a laugh at this. God bless his soul. A referee I had to deal with on a regular basis was George O'Brien. I had to deal with George O'Brien, and sometimes he wasn't at the game. So he wasn't at the game watching the game sometimes. And those are the referees that are there for you. That's what's there. But get your team ready. So it doesn't surprise me that North Village didn't get the result. It doesn't surprise me because they're not sure that credential. Now you can also look at it another way that okay, Ken has not got a good team. I mean, and this is his team now because he's recruited it. It is his team that is selected, is brought to North Village. And maybe he's not got the best of players and he's still got a mini hunt. So maybe he's doing a good job from that perspective.
Well, the main thing was that you don't lose.
But
you don't lose.
It's not a satisfaction. That is not a satisfaction for a club like North Village. Though. Maybe it's a satisfaction for Kenny or there's players, but that's not a satisfaction, and that's not the objective that North Village would have set out with having a Kenny at the helm. That's not what would have set out. It would not set out that we want to be in the top 4. The plan would we want to win. But every time they have to win, they don't.
Okay. Well, they got four games to change it around. Now let's go down to Wellington Oval, where Somerset Trojans traveled all the way east and came away with a 1-0 win over Hamilton Parish. Trojans needed at least a point out of this to move ahead of not move away from Boulevard, who had the night before drawn level on points with them for that final relegation spot. But they managed to get 3 points against the Hamilton Parish team, who the last 2 weekends, Maceo, have they lost away?
Yeah, they have. We talked about it. We talked about it once nothing's on the line, what's going to happen to the mentality. And then we also have to look at Somerset is taking 3 victories from Hamilton Parish this season, so they got that number. They're taking a victory. Remember, we thought Hamilton Parish would beat Somerset in the semifinals to play in the finals of the Dark League. They missed that opportunity. The last league game, we thought, okay, Parish has got to respond and take care of Somerset. They're playing Somerset when Somerset's been at their worst and still not able to beat them. And I think that also led to the frustration of the coach, Sergio, being sent off. Again, another meltdown. After the game, he got sent off, and maybe the referee, made good or bad calls. But again, we got to focus on your team and what your team needs to do and what you need to do for your team from that coaching perspective. And it's not easy. Is trust me, it's not an easy thing. I'm not suggesting that it's an easy thing, but we have to have this emotional strength and this emotional maturity. And I think that's what we lack in our game. We lack emotional maturity to make good decisions in tough times. So when the tough times come, we don't make good decisions.
Right. Punchy. Somerset Trojans. We all counted them out, especially for this game, but they managed to come away with a 1-0 victory. Possibly saving their season right now. They are 3 points ahead of Boulevard, 1 point behind Crossroads, who, if they don't get their act together, I mean, they're fading fast. They could find themselves in a big hole.
That's right.
But looking at Somerset, I mean, much needed victory.
Oh yeah, that was a lifeline there. That was an important moral victory for Scotty. Watching Somerset, even when Norfolk played them a couple of weeks ago, and we beat them. There's certain parts of the game they're not bad, especially front row. Young, talented, wide, young left winger, good talent. Still inexperienced. But again with Morty, there's no giving up. There's no, Morty is still always at it, and I know he's gonna. It must be, again, what we talk about. It must be difficult for Morty in terms of what the standard he's used to, the mentality he's used to coaching, what he did at PAC, what he did for North Village. So this is a whole different game for him, but that's a lifeline for him. And as you say, we all pick Hamilton Parish to win this game, but there's still something. I pick Somerset to stay on top. They will not be demoted. I could put my wages on that. The next 4 weeks, my wages, Somerset will not be demoted. And then I'll disappear. Then you can't find me. Yeah. I don't know. I just need more. No. Remember, Somerset, how many home games they got? So they're gonna be They got what's left about how many home games do they have left?
Interestingly enough, they've got to go St. George's on Saturday.
There you go. That ain't gonna be an easy one. That's right.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna take our final commercial break. When we come back, we'll talk First Division, picks, and Player of the Week. We'll be right back.
It seems everyone knows someone who's lactose intolerant or just avoiding dairy products. And fortunately, there's a growing array of delicious and nutritious alternatives. Pacific Natural Foods have been doing things their own way simply and sustainably for over a quarter century, making non-dairy beverages with the finest possible ingredients right down to the packaging. Try Pacific Natural Original and Vanilla Hemp Milk and Almond Original Plant-Based Beverage, all sweetened or unsweetened, and low-sodium organic vegetable or chicken broth. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for.
Putting down the weapons.
You seeing this?
Welcome back. Well, let's talk about that match on Saturday in the First Division up at Southampton Oval, where Devonshire Colts traveled and beat Southampton Rangers 6-0. Now, Southampton Rangers are coming off a big victory over BAA the week before. We thought they had, turned their fortunes around, but unfortunately, they look like they only want to beat BA this year. Maceo?
Yeah, I actually went and watched that game. After watching the first 15 minutes, I realized Southampton Rangers weren't going to beat Colts. They weren't going to beat. Watching the game, it was hard. It was hard watching the game. I mean, even basic things that don't happen. And I don't like to be a negative Nanny, but even basic things. I watched the coach. The Colts coach didn't even give his talk in the changing room. It's his team talk before the game is sitting outside on the bench on the ground. Like the days of being in the change room and that team talk being sacred, and that it being the thing that fires them up, and you got the blackboard. Like the whole preparation for it was just cheapened the experience. And then when I saw the game. And I wanted to properly analyze it, but it wasn't. At one time in the game, I saw 20 players in the middle of the field where the ball was, like it was a peewee game. Like 20 players, only the goalkeepers at each end weren't involved. Like 20 players were chasing the one ball. It's like, wow, the organizational piece. And you have to expect more when coach is the national is part of the national program. But in the game, it was only 2 players that I rated as footballers on
Rangers side.
It was Bregman.
Dante.
Bregman Dante. On Colts' side, it was Dublin. The tall player, George Dublin, that I actually even rated as footballers. No, and it's unfortunate because there was other players out there that I know from youth that were decent enough potentials. And now they can't play football. They can't make string passes. They're giving the ball away. They every time the ball gets given away, somebody's cursing each other off on Rangers. Like, it's just bad. It's just bad. Like, it's like,
I have to smile because
it's just bad.
I have to smile because it filters through all the teams in Bermuda.
Yeah. It filters through all the team, and this is the thing. We're having this conversation about emotional balance and emotional maturity, and to being able to have emotional strength to play the game. And we're just not raising that. We just don't have that.
Right.
We don't have that.
Punchy, you look at a team like Rangers, and we all picked them to beat Devonshire Colts. But when you hear they lost 6-0 to Devonshire Colts, what was your initial thought?
Well, I knew I wasn't going to watch that game. It's with Rangers. It's always the same question: how many good players they have? What is their intent? Do guys just show up? Do they show up for training? Who's coaching them? What are they really about? I just thought for sure they will beat Devonshire Colts, because and to what Maceo said, I've seen Devonshire Colts play. I'm not been highly impressed by them at all in terms of the quality. So I haven't. I saw him play against Paget in that cup in the FA Cup, and they would certainly beat him. But now with Rangers, it's a question of just what is their intent. I heard so much of stories of guys who show up for games now. They don't even go training. You might get 6 guys, and the rest of them just show up and play because that's all the coach has available. So you will see one good game. You'll see Southern Rangers go up to Island Rangers and beat Island Rangers up. Then they go do this good. They play a good game against Wolves, and then it comes what happened to them on Sunday at home, and then demolished by a team that is not going to be promoted this year. I'm sure that they. I don't think Devonshire Colts will be promoted this year.
Well, quick question before we move on. I try to figure out who was Rangers' coach. I heard a female's voice doing most of the instruction. Do we have our first female coach at the Premier level?
No, she's not the coach. She's not the coach. She's the manager.
Oh, okay.
No, she's the manager.
Right.
She's the manager.
All right.
So Earl and Mason, who is the coach there?
Umde was coaching. I haven't seen him for a few weeks.
Right. He's not been there.
Yeah.
He's not been there. Yeah. And like I said, I looked for him.
Dante had the team. Dante had the team when they played BAA. He played, but he was orchestrating everything. So I don't know if he's taking over. I don't know what the deal is.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, the BFA rules is that you're supposed to have a B licensed coach. Or like, are we upholding that? Is that actually a rule anymore?
I've actually heard that at the special AGM, the clubs, because if you don't have the rules were if you didn't have a B licensed coach, you was getting fined, right?
Right.
I've heard that has been scrapped by the clubs.
Oh my God. 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 So all that work of getting qualified coaches and pushing it to the level, we're going back to our backyard again?
The clubs voted to wipe away all the fines and have that rule.
So the clubs are voting to go backwards. This is my point. If the clubs keep voting to go backwards, oh my God. I mean, just on that point, a better solution instead of going backwards, and I proposed it before, instead of saying having a B licensed coach because it's hard to achieve it, we've got more C licensed coaches. At least put the license in place. The license.
Remember, if you had a C license working towards a B, as long as you had that, you were able to coach. You had to
Right,
be
so-
working towards getting your B at the
Right,
league.
so at least put that in place, because we
Right,
do
but
have
that
far
wasn't
more. We have far more C licensed coaches. We have over like 350 C licensed coaches in Bermuda, and we only have like 40 B licensed coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So it would have made sense for us to allow our C licensed coaches to coach at that level. And also our battle coaches that were supposed to have B license probably should be coaching at the junior level, developing our future. Right?
Right.
So
Well,
oh my God.
Being that I just said that, sorry, Sharon, your friend's about to ring, because part of you will watch this show in there and they'll be making the call. So be prepared to read that tomorrow, if not on Wednesday.
What's that? Oh,
that the clubs have turned it down, have ruled to not avoid the fines and not avoid the ruling of.
You know that the clubs are voting to take us back in the dog age. They want to stay in the dog age. So what can I say? And you keep asking me, do I want to coach? I don't want to be in the dog age no more. No.
Well, pretty much top of the table clash took place at Police Field yesterday, where Young Men's Social Club and Wolves played to a 3-3 draw. Didn't I tell you? Last week I even predicted the score.
You got that. You got that one.
You got that right now. You got that.
You got that one right.
But because both teams have been scoring so many goals of late, it's going to be very difficult to stop them from scoring. And, that's why I picked the draw and that 3-3, because, guys have been scoring of late. And
No, it
so
makes sense. It makes sense. It does make sense.
But hearing, Wolves now are the league leaders because they've played one more game than BAA. They've played two more games than Paget, who are actually getting ready to play Island Rangers up at Somerset tonight. And if Paget win, they could actually go to the top of the table with a game in hand on Wolves, and they'll be level on games with BAA. But hearing that result, Maceo, your thoughts on both Wolves and Social Club and a possible promotion spot?
Well, we know Social Club. Social Club has been institutionalized at this level. They're like institutionalized at this level, so they're not good enough this year. I think they like it better at this level, so they're not good enough. I don't think Wolves are going to hold it together. I will put my hat on BA and Paget going up, because this is a game that Wolves should potentially beat, to go up. So and the football gods can be very cruel, right? They can make you think something, make you feel it, and take it right away from you just when you think you got it. And I think that's what's happening to Wolves right now. That they didn't get the result across the line. I don't know that they're going to hold it together to get promoted. And Wolves is also like an institutionalized second division team. They are they spend more of their football history at that level than they spent at the Premier level.
Sure. Punchy, you look at the two teams. Not much separates them top of the table. Not much separates them from the amount of goals that scored. A quick look. Social Club has scored 39. Wolves have scored 31. Social Club's given up 16, and Wolves have given up 17. So not much separating the two teams, but they were in that battle for to take over the sole possession of the first division, the lead. Wolves were able to do so, but I know they would have felt that they could have and should have done better, and so did probably Social Club.
Yeah, if I had to put, it's funny because I remember I kind of pro Wolves also.
Yes.
Yeah, with the people that I know. So let's say, for instance, you put both of them in these hands, right? You put one in, and the way it would be Wolves, hands up. It's the problem that they have. Is it at the coaching or that whole institutional the football mentality?
Mm-hmm.
And it amazes me because I do believe they're a much better team than Social Club. What I don't see happening there is progress. And it's progress at Wolves. I went down there last week, and on Tuesday night, they had over 20 guys. You can see them You can see the eager bouncing the ball around and these little squares. I was like, yeah, okay, yeah. But there's still something wrong with them.
Hey,
So it's
and
these
they
three
have a
guys
fan
up there
base
on the
watching
road,
them.
because you can look down. I said, what is it really that? And so it makes sure you're putting we're talking about the mentality and the organization. Out of all those teams in the division, barring Paget with the three good top players up front, right? I think Wolves have the potential than anyone else to be if they get promoted, to be more sustainable.
Right.
But it's something still missing there, man. That I go watch them. I can't. I don't want to blame nobody. I don't know if the coaching is up to, or if the organization, where John Barry Newsom would be there, or what Dennis Brown did with him. Social Club, on the other hand, listen, no, they're institutionalized. They are comfortable where they are, and if they are promoted, they will have what are they going to do? Who's going to play for Social Club? How are they going to recruit? Will Clay Darrell go back and play for them? I don't see where they're going. I don't even know they have a junior program. So for me, I think Wolves is the better bet. Wolves, Paget, and BA. Okay. That's who I'm thinking.
Right. All right. The final first division match that was played yesterday, St. David's managed a 3-1 victory over Somerset Eagles. No surprise. I mean, Somerset Eagles have been struggling all season, but a team like St. David's, Maceo, you picked them to win. Do you think 3-1 would have been satisfying enough for them?
Yeah, they're happy to win that. That was enough for them. They got 3 points. Now they can start getting ready for the cricket season. Yeah.
Okay.
It was no way that Somerset Eagles was coming down there to take points on that field.
Right. Okay. And Punchy, so Somerset Eagles. What are they? I mean, they have a few games left this year. What should they be trying to do? I mean, they turn up to play, but
yeah. It's a lot of it's a good group of young men who I don't know the academies they came through with a football education. Where I heard, as we said before, that some of the younger players left Summers to go down there, but there's something definitely missing from Somerset Eagles. Again, what is what Jeremy trying to do there? Work with what he has. What's the talent there? They could probably be a whole lot better, but it's what's happening in our country with teams like that and clubs like that. What is significantly they want to do? What is significant? What is the next year or so? So let's say, for instance, they get the next 4 games, they'll get through the season. And what's next for them next year? What's the projection for them? And I can put them, like Island Rangers and St. David's, and what is good for Somerset Eagles, man. And it's again, we're talking about what's happening at the club levels, and clubs like that.
Right. Well, let's get into our picks from last week, and we'll start off with the St. George's Devonshire Cougars match in the Premier Division. We all took St. George's. We didn't get a point there. We all took we all took Boulevard to beat Robin Hood, and Boulevard did so 5-1. We all picked Hamilton Parish to beat Somerset Trojans, and the Trojans were able to win that 1-0. We all picked PHC, and we know they won 7-0 over Crossroads. And we all took North Village Rams to defeat the Dandytown Hornets, and that match ended in a 1-1 draw. We also took Southampton Rangers to defeat Devonshire Colts in the first division on Saturday, and Devonshire Colts won that 6-0. We all took St. David's. St. David's did defeat Somerset Eagles 3-1. I picked a draw, and all the other 3 picked Wolves in the Social Club Wolves match. I got a point there. And the match is underway up at Somerset Cricket Club, where Paget Lions are taking on Island Rangers. So we'll have that result for next week. So thus far, I have 4, Punchy 3, Maceo 3, and Coach Keita 3. Not a good week for everyone in all these games, and we're coming down to the wire. So we're letting ourselves down like some of these teams are letting themselves down. But
We're having a meltdown.
Yeah.
But here's a chance to see if we can steady the ship.
Yeah.
And we're going to start with you, Punchy, on Saturday down at the Wellington Oval. The St. George's Colts host the Somerset Trojans.
I think St. George's will rebound from that loss. I'm gonna pick St. George's on that. I think they will rebound. They'll get back up. I think they'll beat Somerset. They'll rebound from that loss. I'm picking St. George's to win.
Okay, Maceo.
Yes, St. George's. They just don't want to be. They're comfortable in their could have stages. They're not yet ready to say we did it. So they're gonna keep it exciting by beating Somerset down there. They're not gonna implode.
Well, one thing you guys have overlooked is who does St. George's have as a backup goalkeeper? Because their backup goalkeeper is away on international duty in cricket.
Oh, the Burla.
Yeah. Well.
The Burla.
So who do they come up with for this 90 minutes of football? That the players, and we all know when players have confidence in a goalkeeper, they play free football. But when you don't, you kind of don't play free football. You play a lot of panic football.
Yeah, well, I think Earl, adding to that, that would be a coaching in terms of what would the coach do? How would you make sure that you work so difficult if you just got a part-time of playing and go?
Right.
And so that's really a coaching solution there for St. George's against Somerset.
Yeah, I'm gonna still take St. George's because I think their confidence is still high, despite the loss to Cougars. But my concern will be that one position. And hopefully the goalkeeper understands.
You said it's on a Saturday. This Saturday afternoon.
Saturday afternoon, 3:00. Yeah. So I'm gonna take St. George's doing that. Saturday night, all that BAA. BA should make a lot of money. Well, Robin Hood should make a lot of money because the high-flying Zebras are going to play Robin Hood. And if anybody wants to see a bunch of girls, that should be the place to go. So, Maceo, who are you taking?
Robin Hood. No way. No way. PhD, man. PhDs can have. I mean, the battle bet is can Robin Hood put a team on? That's the battle. That's the battle bet.
And will they want to play short if they are in fact short?
Yeah.
Will they want to play short against a PAC?
Yeah. Would they want to show up short against PAC?
Yeah.
Like they might be. The thought process going into this week is like, you know what? I don't really want to play PAC.
But the problem is they can't afford another game. If they do, they're out.
They're out. Yeah. That could be a possibility, right?
Yeah. So yeah. They're
I wouldn't want to play PhD short.
Struggling to play PhD when you're full strength.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to play them.
Yeah.
No, if they do default this game, well, they just go down. They'll just be demoted. Am I correct?
Well, they'll be kicked out of the league.
They'll be kicked out of the league.
They won't be kicked out of football altogether. They'll be kicked out of the Premier League.
I don't know what the ruling is.
Yeah, I believe they will be kicked out of football. They would have to get reinstated. They would have to get reinstated and go through the voting process of the clubs to be able to get reinstated in football.
Okay. Well, of course, I'm going to pick. I think Robin Hood will show up on their show up with. They do. But of course, PH is going to win this handsomely, for sure.
Well, I've already put down everybody for PHC. So now we come to Sunday. Two teams that struggled this weekend. One got a point, the other didn't get a point. Hamilton Parish hosts North Village Rams. I'm gonna take North Village for this because they cannot lose another match and still hope to have any chance of winning the league. And I think they have to come with that mindset. Hamilton Parish of late have, as a team, struggled since that win over PHC. Things haven't gone their way, and I just think that North Village will come in looking to do the business. Even if they walk away with a 1-0 or 2-1 victory, they're gonna look to make sure that they come away with 3 points. So I'm taking North Village. Punchy?
It's not gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy. Trust me. You know, the first game against Hamilton Parish, North Village, Hamilton Parish weren't that bad, weren't far off. They just did not finish off in all the attacks that they were really poor at the finishing.
Right.
I'm gonna go for a draw.
Okay. A draw practically puts North Village out of the title race.
Yep, but I'm going for a draw.
Especially if PHC win. If PHC win, a draw, there's not enough games to hope that PHC lose twice, and then you still got Cougars ahead of you and St. George's. So, But Maceo?
Yeah, North Village is gonna they're gonna inflict a home pain, meaning that they'll win this game. And when they'll look back on the season, they'll have the conversation that we could have, we should have, if. So they'll have the opportunity right down to there's no opportunity anymore. That's how I look at it. And that's how the football goals work. If they work like that, they'll inflict the pain in the most excruciating way. Where you're not doing things up to standard and not up doing things up to par. So they'll win this game. And Parish is feeding. They're not gonna be without their coach this weekend.
Will they really? Will they really? Will they really?
Well, yeah.
In Bermuda?
Yeah.
Just sit up behind the goal, mate. Yeah. All right. So now the next game is at Lords and St. David's, where Crossroads host Devonshire Cougars. Punchy.
With what's happening with the results, the last results against what's with Crossroads, I'm going to Cougars. Cougars is on the high now. I'm going to Cougars in this game.
Okay. Maceo?
After this week, Crossroads could be sucked right back in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
They can be sorry. They're not gonna beat Devonshire Cougars. I can't see it. Cougars. They're gonna be right back in it, depending on what Somerset
what Somerset do, and so I'm gonna take Devonshire Cougars as well. They're riding high, so they're gonna want to keep pace with PHC definitely, knowing that PHC played Robin Hood the night before. Right now, for a lot of teams, it's all about just getting the 3 points. Don't worry about, if girls come, but make sure you secure those 3 points first and then work on everything else. So, yeah. Final Premier Division game on Sunday is at the BAA Field, where the Boulevard Blazers entertain the Dandytown Hornets. Maceo.
Dandytown. Yeah, Dandytown's stabilizing themselves. They're gonna start to put some respect back in their name.
Yeah, I firmly believe that as well, because of the fact that now Credit's playing in goal. They feel a lot more comfortable with a goalkeeper they know, a goalkeeper they understand. And after watching the first 45 minutes yesterday, they looked a different unit from the one I saw play before. They'll stick Alan Douglas Jr. in goal, St. George as well. Let's see what happens with that.
He didn't go to cricket, so he said, "Well, I don't know why you picked me. You know I wasn't training."
Yeah.
Why, Jesus, that article made me laugh.
Yeah. Punchy, who you pick? Boulevard or Dandytown?
I'm gonna pick Dandytown to win this. I think they just should a lot more respect for themselves on Sunday. Yeah. Very impressive. What was disappointing to me is that if they were shown this whole season, even just shown that, let's pick ourselves up, especially the young players that I saw that were introduced. Some fine young players some 2 fine young players that I noticed. I said, oh, they're not bad at all. But I think they'll pick themselves up. I think they'll beat Boulevard just to redeem themselves.
Yeah, definitely.
So I'm picking Denny Town to win this. Yeah.
Okay. Thursday night out at the BAA field in the first division. BAA take on Somerset Eagles. I've already put down BAA for myself. Punchy?
That's BA all the way.
ACO?
Yeah, BA.
Okay. And then on Saturday, up at Southampton Oval, another top of the table clash as Paget Lions will host Young Men Social Club. Punchy.
Well, I Paget to win this. I think Paget's going to win this one. Yep. They'll get those 2 points. It's not going to be a draw game, and I think Paget to win.
Okay. Mason?
Yes, Paget.
Well, looking at this game, in order for Paget to win, they're going to have to score about 4 or 5 goals. Because of late, Social Club's been scoring 3 and 4 goals a game. Paget's got a decent center half, Barker center half. Goalkeeper suspect a little bit. It's going to be a high scoring game, but I think Paget will actually win this game. I think they'll edge it out just by the odd goal. So I'm going to take Paget. Then it's the Battle of the Rangers on Sunday up at Southampton Oval, Maceo. Southampton Rangers, Island Rangers. You saw Southampton Rangers play.
It's amazing because I saw Southampton Rangers play and I couldn't figure out how to win in games. Like I couldn't figure out how could they win a game, but then I have to appreciate that other teams are just as bad. Rangers has got to be able to beat Island Rangers, man. Just because they got a more established club. Man. That's the only reason I'm picking Rangers.
Okay. Yeah, I just think Southampton Rangers are a little better than Island Rangers this season. So I'm going to take Southampton Rangers as well. Punchy?
This is an easy one. It's Southampton Rangers. It's one of those days where they're going to show up. The Hun, they know they could beat Island Rangers. Yeah, so I'm picking Southampton Rangers for this.
Okay, all right. The final first division game for the weekend is at Lords and St. David's, where St. David's host Devonshire Colts. I after that feel-good win for Devonshire Colts on Saturday, they'll go into St. David's with a young team and come away for odd 2-1 wins. I'm going to take Devonshire Colts. Punchy.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that too, Earl. I think that particular draw, for Rangers. Not that that I'm very impressed with even the school. I'm not impressed with the school line, but I think Devonshire Colts win on St. Davis and win this comfortably.
Sure. Maceo?
Yeah, Devonshire Colts for sure. St. Davis is not beating recognized football clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, last week we picked the player of the week in Mikhail Walker from Hamilton Parish. This was the presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ethan Phillip. I'm here with Mikhail Walker. This week's player of the week. Mikhail did a fantastic job playing for his team, Hamilton Parish. So as his reward, we're giving him the Gosling's Floor Gold. And congratulations on the job well done, man.
Thank you. Appreciate
awesome.
that.
All right,
On
man.
behalf of Hamilton Parish, we'll take this.
All right.
Number 9, don't forget it, all right, guys?
There it is.
Lovely.
Well, let's hope number 9 is available for the remainder of the season. I think he was the other one sent off down there in St. David at Wellington Oval yesterday.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a big loss because he's been a firepower for them up front. Someone else is going to have to step up. And they lost a goalkeeper who was also sent off. So, hey. Well, guys, come to the end of another show, and things are really, really heating up. next week, Sunday, I could only imagine what the weekend is in store. Will PHC, well, never mind. Who will be in second at the end of the weekend? Because I'm pretty sure that the Zebras will remain in first place after Saturday night.
Oh yeah.
But who will be in second? Who will be in third? Where the points lie? And can Cougars pull off? I'm sorry, can Boulevard pull off a win against Stenditon to even put more pressure on Somerset and Crossroads? So we shall see. And then that first division title race is heating up. I mean, we anticipate Paget winning tonight, so they'll go top of the table. But then we're anticipating BAA winning on Thursday night. They will go on top of the table. And then it's the weekend. It's that everybody in the first division will be up at Southampton Oval watching Social Club and Paget play on Sunday, hoping on Saturday. Is it Saturday?
Yeah.
Yeah, Saturday, hoping that Young Men Social Club could pull one out. Because if they're able to pull one out, it throws that title race wide open. Not only the title race, but the promotion race as well.
Yeah. And it's Wolves. Wolves is not playing this weekend, right?
Wolves will have a bye this week.
Bye. Okay. I see.
So
I can see who they will be rooting for.
teams can pull away from them, and they will then. They've played 13, so BA would have played 13. Paget would have played 13. Social Club would have played 14. Yeah, so it's all to play for. Yeah, so
Sure
let's
is.
see how tonight turns out, and then on to the week of football and weekend. So thank you very much, gentlemen. Enjoy your night. We'll be back next week, Sunday, with another edition of the IslandStats.com football show. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.